Get my monster. Okay, that's going. Check, check, check. One final check. Hey, chickadee, chickadee, chickadee. You talk.
Yo, 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 this is my speaking voice. I like to speak. I use words.
All right, we got to get this sucker done so I can go watch the Daytona 500 and then the WWE Elimination Chamber. Let me get ready real quick. I saw...
What's the name of the race we're going to next week?
We're going to the Atlanta Motor Speedway. I think it's called the Field of Honor 500. I don't know.
Okay.
First year, man.
Yeah, the only one I know is the Daytona 500. It's literally the only name I know in the races.
I've been watching a lot of DJ Paul interviews, and he always has his hood up and sunglasses on, so I figured that's how I got to do it.
Why didn't you tell me?
What?
I would have put something on, too.
We can't both be
a
doing
clown
it.
costume.
Got my KB hat, ready for the race. See? So, Max El-Hag.
I'm not going to be able to do this seriously. All right, let's get it.
A lot of controversy this year.
Yes.
You been keeping up with it or no?
I have. I have to.
Do you actively try to keep up with it, or you just kind of you'll be taking a shit and then this happened?
No. I think because I'm not super connected in social media, the community here updates me on the good stuff to follow, and then I'll go and I'll ask them for those links and listen to podcasts that are talking about it. So I've stayed active with it by trying not to pay attention to it.
And from what you've heard, where's your head at? First of all, why don't you have your own Instagram account?
Technically I do, but because Noah made an Instagram account for me and gave it to me, and
of course he did.
It just sits there. I think I have 4 followers.
I see him tag Max El-Hag, and I'm like, is this some other dude's account?
No.
That's you.
Yeah, some people
do you get on there?
No.
No one slides into your DMs?
No. Well, maybe. I need to sign on to it. What
if you just have a whole bunch of... Never mind.
Yeah. New opportunities.
So anyway, where's your head at with all the change?
You mean...
I mean, I kind of know. I kind of pick your brain from time to time, but in general,
about
where are you sitting on the firings, we've heard you talk in all the documentaries about the format change, but I guess I'm more curious, what's your thoughts on people kind of being anti-open now, or it seems negative. I watch wrestling. Nobody here doesn't know that. Yeah. It's not a secret. And part of what I like doing is just talking shit on it. It's like half my enjoyment of watching WWE is just be like, man, this sucks, that sucks, this could be better. But I mean, that's kind of what I do anyway. Yeah. But I feel like that's kind of what's happening in our community. There's a lot of negativity and a lot of talk and a lot of shit. But do you feel like we're going to see the open pass by and everyone's just business as usual doing it?
I actually do think that this year's season and leading into October and what's already happened with the sanctionals is definitely going to change the way a lot of people in the market navigate the sport and decide what to do with their affiliations, like whether they de-affiliate, whether they change their affiliations to be gyms that are solely focused on the sport, whether they change their gyms to be solely focused on just general health and fitness, what type of demographic. Like I know CrossFit put out a lot of stuff on people working out on couches, which is still, I mean, I understand going after Gen Pop, but that's also going after an entirely different demographic of general population.
That's going after Grand Pop.
Yeah, well, yeah, Grand Pop, and just a demographic of highly sedentary people. From what I've experienced, and I've been in CrossFit since 2008, and the people that trended towards it are the people that already, either they made a decision that they wanted to make a drastic change in their life, or they were already pretty athletic and interested in physicality and movement, and now this was a new way of looking at the big picture and a competitive outlet that made it exciting and built a community. So even without the sport of the games, with the glitz and glamour and the money and all of the stuff that people are upset at and bickering at about now, that stuff in 2008, 9, 10, 11, 12 was the stuff that built a huge portion of the people that were going into gyms and competing and throwing down. And it's like a trickle-down effect. You have one super high-level competitor in your gym, like they called them the fire breathers back in the day, and that trickled down and inspired everybody else behind them to be better versions of themselves physically. And now if you remove that and you say, well, you know, now that's extreme and that's not good, I'm not really sure what that's going to do to the overall culture. I think it's going to create some sort of a riff. Go ahead.
Well,
Sorry.
I was going to say there always has been even in people who know what they're talking about, the difference of there's competing and then there's doing, you know, CrossFit.
Yeah.
And, you know, one is competing in almost anything can be unhealthy. And I think maybe the general public doesn't make that distinction when they're first getting on, but I think the community as a whole, you know, they're not looking at people like Travis and Noah doing that as health.
Yeah. Yeah.
As optimal health anyway.
Yeah, I agree. And maybe it's not even an attainable level of performance for most people. So even if it is, like for some people, it might be unhealthy to chase that. If your entire life is set up to support that quest, maybe it is healthy for that person at that stage of their life. But it's not permanent endeavor. You could definitely hurt yourself.
You just said endeavor.
Fuck, endeavor.
I told you don't do that.
It's not a permanent thing that they could do in their life. So if it's not something that they can continue to stay doing forever, at some point the hanging on to that quest and that goal will probably become unhealthy. But I think it's the goal of a mindful community around that person to be like, hey, I think it's time to hang it up. It's time to do something different. It's time to whatever. But I don't necessarily look at Travis and Noah and say, you guys are unhealthy or unbalanced. I feel like they're really balanced. They're just highly dedicated towards a specific craft. There would be the same level of imbalance that an artist would have that's spending 10 hours a day sitting in front of a canvas, sniffing paints and doing all the things that are required to sacrifice to make a piece of art, or a mountain climber going out and, you know, breaking their hands, falling. Like any time you try to attain something that a broad base of humanity hasn't attained, you take risks with regards to your safety. But I don't know if that risk is necessarily unhealthy. But if somebody who's unprepared to do it does it, then yes, they're more likely to fucking hurt themselves.
And coming back around, I think I've been inspired by some stories in the media of like, you know, the older person or like a lot of the adaptive athletes, a lot of the, you know, from really big guy to going to being small, like those things are inspiring. I don't know if that would have put me over the hump to, the whole reason I'm even here, you know, starting Barbell Shrug back in the day was because I watched Miko Salo in the 2009 games. That was it. That was my dude. I was like, hell yeah, I'm bought in. Prior to that, I was like, what's this CrossFit? You know, I'll dabble. But once I watched that, I was like, oh, sign me up.
Yeah.
And I think that might be the case for a lot of people. No one's aspiring to be
the guy on the couch doing overhead squats.
Well, the decent guy in your middle school basketball team. It's, you know, Michael Jordan.
Yeah,
you know?
for sure.
I think Morning Chalk Up or one of these people put out CrossFit Needs Heroes. Did you see this go around?
No, I didn't.
I didn't read the whole article, but I saw the headline. I was like, yeah, that's true, I think. Yeah. For some of us anyway.
Yeah, I mean, I think Miko did it. I think Rich Froning did it. I think to some extent.
Who?
Rich Froning.
Oh.
Matt Frazier, I think to some extent does it. I think the Icelandic females did it, like Annie in 2009. She inspired not just like her whole country of other athletic females.
All the daughters.
Yeah, like, I mean, there is something to be said to have some sort of a physical role model. And the role model of a CrossFit Games athlete is a pretty impressive human specimen in terms of the breadth of their capabilities. Like, a high level archer, like somebody who just like is a bow and arrow hunter, has a crazy level of skill, and there's so much nuance and so much skill to it. But from like an overall, this person's body can just jump in and do any other type of physical skill, it doesn't have that. But for somebody who competes at the CrossFit Games, like because of the testing and the extremism of what Dave Castro has done over the years, they're pretty damn impressive people, just bodies. So they're good. I think they're good role models for culture. I think they're better role models than a bodybuilder or a power lifter for just a general person. Like, hey, you just want to be able to go on vacation and do shit, or you want to feel a little bit more comfortable, take your clothes off or whatever. Like if you train even at a remedial level towards what a games athlete is doing, and you're doing some gymnastics, some accessory work, some cyclical work, some strength work, like I think that's a pretty good broad level of fitness that will, move you forward.
So why do you think a lot of people are saying they're not going to do the open?
I think it's like.
Do you mean that maybe they're just not going to sign up, but they're going to do it, or like they're not going to do it officially, or?
I think it's Kyle told me about it. I guess there's a science to it. It's like the silent majority and the